Beyond Beats is just like, it's like a jazz freeform podcast.
Yeah.
We don't really know what we're doing yet.
Which is exactly what jazz musicians are like. They don't really know.
Oh, right. I did not mean that. I just meant the freeform structure. Hello. Welcome to episode 12 of Beyond Beats. I'm Metic, and we got DYVN here. This week we'll just dive right in. No pun intended. We got a couple of just sort of quick hitting topics that we want to discuss. First one was kind of a surprise actually, because literally maybe like 5-10 minutes. We're recording this on January 19th. So literally 5-10 minutes before DYVN and I were about to hop on this call to record the episode, I saw on Twitter that J. Cole's trending, and he's trending for a really cool reason, which is he was feeling uninspired, and then he started looking on YouTube for J. Cole type beat to try to muster up some inspiration, and then he stumbled upon this beat made by a producer, a beatmaker called Batman, but instead of an A, it's a V or something like that. But anyway, like J. Cole really vibed with this J. Cole type beat that Batman made.
It's amazing.
And
it's such a cool story.
And then it's amazing. So, and then he just wrote an entire song, recorded it, and sent it back to this producer, Beatmaker, and he put it up on his YouTube channel, the Beatmaker, and it's just like a new unreleased full-on J. Cole track.
This is like such a wholesome story. I'm smiling like an idiot right now, but it's just like,
it's insane.
It's wholesome for my little producer heart.
Right. And then so the cover art is literally just the text that J. Cole sent over to this beatmaker guy, and it's so wholesome. Like I really encourage everybody to go read it.
We can put it on the screen. Like we can.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, it just says, this is J. Cole. So this song should live on your channel and serve as a thank you to you and every producer out there cooking up and sharing their work with the world. It's a million artists out there right now, just like me, hungry and searching every day for something to spark a word, a melody, a hook, a verse, a punchline, a way to vent, or a way to cut through. And he just goes on to talk. I mean, there's a little bit more, but he just goes on to talk about like not being able to find motivation. I think he's trying to finish his upcoming studio album, during a lack of inspiration, this beat from Batman really helped J. Cole, and he J. Cole admitted in this text saying that usually this would just live in the vault, but he doesn't want to hold on to the music like that no more. And I'm reading from the quote again. And this is for you and whoever else needs to hear it. God bless, bro, and keep doing what you do. So, and the beat is sick. You know, it's a very like old school. It's got like a soul like vibe to it. And then and what I really loved about the track was he just raps about procrastinating and just hoarding beats or hoarding tracks as an artist, how everything lives in the vault. And this track is kind of everything, like a release for everything that he's been feeling, you know?
Right.
Because I'm sure so many tracks, like I'm probably even thousands of tracks are in his vault and never seeing the light of day. But I don't know, like it's so freeing, it's so liberating to hear him rap about, you know, his own situation, which because I think this is something that a lot of bigger artists deal with, right? Because the bigger you get, the more pressure you kind of feel that you need to like deliver something amazing, immaculate to
And
otherwise.
I also think the larger your audience gets, the more like diverse your audience is, and so you still want people to relate to what you're saying, but the harder, it's going to get even harder if your audience is more diverse in a way to find something that hits for everyone, or
for everyone. Exactly.
Obviously you can't please everyone, but you still want to sort of please as many people as possible, right? So and I think it's just the pressure. And he actually, in this track, he actually goes on and talks about why he does this. One of the reasons actually really reminded me of something we talked about in a previous episode, one where we featured Jin, and who, for those who didn't watch the episode, who's my wife.
Yep. Yeah.
So, or who don't know, whatever. Go back and watch the episode. The
other half of Misa Records. She's
exactly
a very talented indie singer, I want to say.
Yeah, and like a general creative person, like who's also like
and
an
a visual artist
and a fountain of great thoughts. But enough about it.
I think it was going really well up till the very last fountain of great thoughts, and then we can see your brain churning. Well, we'll cut that out. We'll cut that out so Jin doesn't see. Nah, it's all good. But so in that episode, I remember Jin asking, I think she posed a question to us. Mm-hmm. She was saying, where do we kind of find inspiration from, when there's not a grand struggle,
Exactly. I think the idea was how much self-care, because the episode is also titled self-care, how much self-care is enough, how much self-care is too much. And because if you're like very like zen and very like grounded and centered, it kind of, there's not, like, as an artist, there's it's going to be harder to sort of find that struggle to cope with in your art and make something out of that struggle.
Yeah, and I think it's a very real issue that artists kind of have to grapple with from time, in whatever part of their journeys. And I think during the episode, I kind of gave an answer that it wasn't like a great answer. I think I talked about finding inspiration melodically from the guitar with playing around with chords, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think what Jin and what Jin was talking about was really like, lyrically, like what are some of the stories that you can tell when the struggle isn't pressuring you, to like breaking points, and what I wanted to why I'm referring back to this this question from Jin is J. Cole actually talks about it in this track in Procrastination, because as he's talking about kind of why he's procrastinating and how everything's living in the vault, one of which is, and I'm quoting the lyric, he says, plus it don't help that I'm rich now, so that means I don't got a deal with stress to these creditors calling my cellular, and far removed from the struggles from everyday folks, my shit just ain't ever gonna hit like a hit like back then. And yeah, it's just like, it's crazy to see a person of J. Cole's magnitude struggle with the exact same things that Jin talked about a few episodes ago. And he didn't offer a solution, unfortunately, but I think,
if he had one, he wouldn't have to rap about it.
Exactly. Kinda. I think that's life as well. Like not everything has a grand solution, right? But I think if we, knowing what we know now, maybe an answer to Jin on that day would have been, hey, you know what, you're not alone. Even someone like J. Cole deals with it, and we we just got to tap into a different thing that inspires us. And with J. Cole, part of what liberated him was literally looking on YouTube for J. Cole type beats and then finding a random bedroom beat maker. I actually don't know if Batman's like a bedroom beat maker. I literally just literally just popped up on my radar. But yeah, you know, for
amazing,
J. Cole, this was his release, and you know, for Jin it could be something different. For us, it could be something different. So
I think it's oftentimes this this thing. By the way, just a quick side note: there's this car outside. I think we talked about it after we wrapped up last week's episode with Christopher. That has the license plate WTF. And I can't stop looking at it. I can't. All I see is like looking outside. It's WTF. It's so funny.
It's your message to you.
Yeah. Shit. I think I lost my train of everything. I lost my entire train.
WTF, man. It just
hits you
like
really.
a train sometimes. You know, knowing what we know now, we could have probably answered Jin a little differently, saying it happens to people in all steps of the journey. And
you were talking about inspiration, and for me, I think one of the things I do is oftentimes turn to different creative outlets, and Jen is a very good example of that. Like she's like I just mentioned, she's a very talented illustrator, and that's how I got to know her. She's a graphic designer. She used to work as a graphic designer for pretty long, and now she turned more to like the illustration that direction things. But like she's a visual artist before I would say a musical artist even.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
really,
yeah.
really
Like
cool.
she like that was her job for, or like still is, for like freelance wise,
right.
for the longest time. And she's also like a great writer, actually. Like she started writing, where like, you know, writing songs and writing other forms kind of comes together. So she's like also more like leaning more towards that direction currently. And whenever she does that, like her inspiration for making music always comes back. So it's always when she leans more towards one direction, the other one kind of follows back up and catches up, sort of. And that's, I think, something I can recommend, especially like obviously not every one of us has all those like different varieties of talents, but like do something else. Like I think you're also doing a lot of photography, right? I think that's something we talked about a while ago, that whenever you don't feel inspired to make music, you just stop and you just take pictures for like a month or two.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like great memory, because I think there was definitely stretches like months on end last year where I was going through like a dry spell of making music in terms of inspiration. But you know, like you said, photography is an outlet that I can kind of count on. Of course, it doesn't make me feel any better about not making music as prolifically as I wanted to. It doesn't make me feel any better, but you know, it allows me to indulge in this other world in the meantime. It kind of distracts me.
It shifts your focus,
and it kind of like gets me out into the world, starts snapping pictures, and then you kind of live life. And because ultimately we're all about an artist, rather than making stuff every day, you need lived experiences, right? It kind of gets me out there, you know, interact with people and take pictures. So yeah, it doesn't make me feel any better, but in terms of music,
it's not a cure per se, like not a direct cure, but it does make you feel better in a different way, because you actually experience new things, and that can be turned into new music again without having the intention of doing so, which is like the thing where you need to trick yourself. I had this thing, like maybe people can relate. Whenever I was I was single in my life, and I was sort of like ready for a relationship, I didn't find anyone, you know. And when I was like, well, whatever, I'm totally over, you know, that.
Yeah, whatever. I'm ready.
That's how I met Julia. You know, literally, I was like, I'm totally over chasing after women or whatever. And like a week later, sort of, I meet Julia, which was, by the way, almost 10 years ago. It's crazy.
Congrats.
Time goes fast. Yeah.
But that kind of reminds me of something that we had planned for this episode, which is post-release blues.
Yeah.
It's kind of like another dealing with another kind of lull, right? Because we were talking about feeling, I guess, uninspired creatively, but this is like a different type of I guess uninspired. Like, I don't know if it ever hits you, but it's just something quick that I thought it would be interesting to get another beatmaker's point of view. So post-release blues, at least as it relates to me, I feel like is a phenomenon where in your head, right? Because you plan your releases out weeks in advance, and then in your head you're kind of building up this release in your head a lot, like especially if it's like an album, right? If it's like an album, which I've never done, like, so I've never released. I mean, okay, like EPs, for example, you've done EPs, right? So if it's like 4 tracks, I mean, it's still much bigger than just a single, right? So if you got this coming up and you kind of build it up in your head, saying like, oh man, this. I got 4 tracks. I got maybe like 5, 6 tracks. This is like a big thing for me. And then you build it up in your head. Oh, what if this happens? Oh, what if that happens? And then, release day comes, and then you realize, oh man, I'm gonna have to, like, this is, no one's really lining up to like listen to this album. Like, I'm gonna have to work just as hard as I would have to do with all my other releases. In terms of like. Sending it out on Submit Hub, promoting it to curators and all that stuff, like, and because for all of us, release day really just means time to get to work, right? So
it's really funny that's something. I have a non-solution for that.
We're all about non-solutions here.
It's going to be the title of the episode. So one thing, I know how Jen, my lovely wife, like she does this thing where as soon as her song drops, she's not like touching it. Like she's just like, it's kind of like it's not existent anymore. So like she kind of loves the process of recording it and like writing it. And once I'm usually like engineering her songs, where I'm producing them, once my part is done, she's kind of like over it already, which is...
So she doesn't even listen
No, and she's not even promoting. I'm always promoting them because I'm like, come on, you got to promote your music. She's like, yeah, whatever. So I'm not even sure if she wants me to say that. No, but so that is, of course, a very extreme way to deal with that because she's kind of like lowering her expectations so low that she can't be disappointed, which is, of course, not that healthy either, I guess. It's just the other extreme. And I'm somewhere in the middle where I'm similar approach, except I always make sure that once I release something, I already have the next release lined up or pretty much done, so that I already know that there's another one coming around the corner, that there's another thing waiting around the corner to be released. So even if like a song doesn't get picked up on a playlist or, it's just not much is happening. And that's kind of like the next question. What would I expect besides, for the song to be picked up on a playlist to happen, right? That would be like a question from me to you. But for me, it's like my non-solution is to already have the next thing waiting and to not solely rely, like put all my hopes and dreams onto this one body of work. But like I said, that's maybe not the most helpful and healthy way either. I'm not sure.
I agree. I mean, I think it's one way that a lot of us kind of use to move past these feelings. But I'd say, for me at least, like having dealt with post-release blues for many, many times, I think it just stems from unrealistic expectations.
Sure. Yeah.
and I think it happens more maybe when you like release with labels and you kind of like think because the promotion is kind of not entirely in your hands,
Right.
and you don't really know like, oh, maybe, oh, what if it gets picked up by so and so, like because you're not fully 100% in charge of this, and so you don't really know, so you build up these like kind of grandiose like hopes,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Visions, dreams, whatever. Yeah.
Right. So I think, one way one potential actual solution is just to, take matters into your own hands and, promote the hell out of it and have a proper plan, blah, blah, blah. And, that will kind of make it less painful.
Right.
I mean,
And
yeah,
I think a good way as well is to sort of have material, not just, not just like you said, put it on some GitHub and all of that, but also like make the song accessible through like, I don't know, video material like Instagram reels or whatever. Just make content that makes you excited about the song. Like the thing that Jen and I always do is for her to shoot like music videos for her music. We've oftentimes done that just because it just makes her feel more excited, and obviously if she's more excited, it's also easier to get promoters excited. So like the one song of hers that hit like 25K I think on Spotify, which is for like an indie song, it's quite good. I guess is I mean like for a non-lo-fi hip hop beat, where the number game is just a completely different thing.
Lo-fi is a weird world.
I always say just add a zero. Like that's 25K is like 250K for us. It's it's decent. It's not 2 million, but it's decent. Good. Yeah. Anyways, so and that was a song where we actually like filmed a music video, like including like having our friends play in the video, and we like actually made some props for the video and like gave it a proper aesthetics and all of that. So that's the song where we put most effort into like the promotion and the like having fun with the promotion side as well. So if you're having fun with the material you make for the song, like be it the artwork or the anything else behind the scenes, I don't know, I think
that's what it comes.
That's one way to deal with it. Like one more something that will fulfill us as creatives on another level.
Yeah, I do, because I do want to mention that when you said that Jin doesn't listen back to her tracks after it's been released.
Oh, I mean, not immediately after. Like I think she made this one album, this one EP called "In My Dreams," for example, that she produced entirely herself as well. And she's to this day, it's 2 years old at this point. She's still listening to that sometimes, by herself, So. Because I think really the music that she wanted to make 100%,
right?
What she wanted to make, sort of, yeah.
That's true. But yeah, I think there are like legitimate people who, after the release, like never listen to their tracks, and I don't want to misquote, I don't want to misremember this, but I think D'Angelo's engineer Russell Elevado, I think in some Red Bull interview, I think he was talking about how like, because he engineers the whole thing, like he's listened to the track so many times, like during the mixing process and everything. I think it was him that said like he doesn't really listen back to the tracks after they've been released, and I'm sure he's not the only one like that.
For me, it's the time between the song being sent out, like being uploaded to distributors,
yes,
and the song coming out. That's when I don't listen to it. And once the song is out, that's when because then I'm like, is it actually decent? Is it like, and then I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I actually put so much effort and it pays off. It's actually really, or I'm like, oh, I should have put in more effort. I don't know.
No, but I think because when you submit it is when you're most tired of it, right?
Right.
And then you stop listening.
You're just
to
like,
it,
I'm done. It has to be good enough, kind of.
Yeah, just take it out of my hands, right? And then when it comes out like 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks later, you're like, oh, okay, like Man,
Especially there's also like a
good.
big difference between like the mastered version, which you probably listened to a bunch of times, but maybe say 5 times, maybe 3 times.
Right.
Usually I'm with the master, I'm just like, yeah, sounds good. Sounds like the mix, just better. Perfect. We'll take that. And with the mixed version, it's like, you listen to all those intricate details and to like the transitions the sub bass through 2 dB too quiet or too loud or whatever. So the master is always for me like the wrapped up gift that I want to like, that I can unpack and just really enjoy. Like the
I want to listen to. Yeah. Glad I'm not alone in feeling this, and I'm glad there's some solutions in addition to non-solutions offered in the 2 things that we talked about in this episode. I think this is a pretty good place to wrap it up.
I have one more thing to add, actually. I'm really sorry. I feel like I always kill your cool wrap up speeches.
I just don't.
Yeah, there's just.
I don't really. Yeah, this is all about. We're Beyond Beats is just like podcasts. It's like a jazz freeform podcast.
Yeah.
We don't really know what we're doing yet.
Which is exactly what jazz musicians are like. They don't really know.
Oh, right. I did not mean that. I just meant the freeform structure. I did not mean jazz people.
So actually I had this because we were just it's so funny because it all comes full circle once again. In our episode, I'm not sure which ones, but the most recent ones, we're like all the recent ones, we kind of talked about routines and self-care and those kinds of things, which is something that I'm very like focused on, I would say. And I've been sort of living in that same routine in the last like couple of weeks, actually. And I think there was one episode where I also described that a little bit, and I went into that, maybe even a couple of episodes, I'm not sure. And that was really, really good for my mental health and for like just me, finding a good rhythm. And I was always like fine tuning it, so it got just better and better, and it was really good. Or it still
like
is
your
really
routine
good.
and stuff, right? Like talking about your routine and
like getting up in the morning, reading a book first,
playing
like
piano
for 5,
and all that
play
stuff.
piano, doing some yoga or some workout, and meditating for 5 minutes, like all those like things, but just do it for a short amount of time, but do all of them every morning. And I kind of did. And yesterday I was kind of just dissatisfied with everything. So I was in this, when you're just in that mood, it's like everything just kind of sucks. And I'm working on this EP right now, which I just can't seem to finish. And I wasn't happy with it. Like I have 2 collab tracks, which are really good, actually. I like what the collaborators played. One of them is actually Christopher, whom we had on last week. And the other one is my homie Wet Moms from the UK. And I like what they played, but I just didn't like what I made out of the tracks. So it's just so difficult for me to finish that 4-track EP. And then yesterday evening, like maybe 9 p.m. or something, I was just like, I gotta sit down and work on that, even though I would rather just, round up my day and just do the healthy thing, which, like I said, I've been really enjoying in the last couple of weeks. And yesterday I was just like, no, can't do that. Like the healthy thing for me to do right now is actually to sit my butt down and work on that EP until it's good. So I muted all the parts that I didn't like. I muted all the, like, even drum parts. I completely redid such drum parts for 2 songs. And I kind of just, that's one technique I do a lot, that I'm just like only leaving in the stuff that I actually enjoy and redoing everything else.
And then I approach it.
Yeah, and then I just work on like all the tracks kind of parallel to each other. So, for example, I added more saturation on the drums, more like tape saturation to give it that like crunchy, beefy sound. And I was like, yeah, why didn't I do that on all? So I did that on all the 4 tracks, on all 4.
Oh, you redid
songs.
The drums for all 4 of them?
No, I only redid them for 2 for 2 of them, but I hadn't like. I added the same effects to all 4 songs.
Gotcha.
And so I was working until 2 a.m. Well, actually, until
Hey.
until 1 a.m. and then I made some pasta because I was like, gotta have some pasta after this and watch a show and just like chill on the couch a little bit. So I was up till 3 a.m. and obviously I didn't get up at 7 a.m. this morning, but I woke up and I was just fine with it. I'm like, today is different and that's fine, you know. It's good. So
Yeah.
sometimes what I want to say with that is sometimes you got to break your routines,
Your quote unquote
and
routines. Yeah.
sometimes when you notice that they don't really help you currently, it's just fine to do something else. And that's my answer to how much self-care is too much. Kind of a vague answer, I guess, and a very specific one as well. But
yeah, it's just do it until just keep doing it unless
you feel you got to do something else.
Unless you feel it doesn't work.
Yeah, and I'm gonna obviously continue doing it tomorrow again, but
I think
currently I'm just in the, or maybe the day after, I'm not sure, but currently I'm just in the mindset of I want to finish that EP until I can sleep well again, you know, and just like be happy.
I think for me, what's most daunting when it comes to trying to finish a track that has been very difficult to finish, what's most daunting for me is to like scrap the drums and redo the drums. Because it's such a backbone of the track, and like you spend so much time creating the original groove, the original pocket, and then even though it's not hitting the way you want to, and that's why you have trouble finishing it. Still, the thought of like scrapping those drums entirely and putting in new ones, maybe it's just like for me, like because drums take me longer, and so for me it's a little more daunting of a thing to like completely redo the drums.
But if the backbone kind of doesn't hit well, it's kind of a meh track.
I mean,
so
eventually because you eventually need to do it, but just the thought of delete.
Same here, man. It was, but I also actually ended up deleting all the tracks. I'm like, once I muted them, and I was like, no, I'm gonna redo them. I'm always committing to my idea. I'm just like, gone. Now I have to redo it. Oh, there's no turning back. Just
I'm not there yet. I still keep everything. Even I'm still very clingy to,
or maybe just not as radical, which is maybe also
exactly. I'm not. I need to get there. But
cool.
I think
now you can do your little dance.
Yeah, I think this is it. This concludes episode 12 for us now.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I'm so glad we've gotten to the point where it's not 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're actually like 0, 1, 2 now. So
I had to like adjust the visuals for that. Like I had to move them like the numbers a little bit to the left because the one is such a small number.
Exactly. Which it's a milestone. We celebrate all milestones here, so definitely something we're excited about, and we'll see you guys in episode 13.
Yes, sir. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.